Welcome back to the Green Rush Live on a Friday afternoon. I'm Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media and the host of this show. We also want to send out good best well wishes to my normal co-host, David Rabinowitz, who's a little under the weather, and we want to make sure that he has a healthy recovery. Speaking of healthy recoveries, joining us now in the Green Rush Live room is a gentleman by the name of Michael Thompson. Now, Michael's story has been well documented, and in fact, I believe there's a documentary coming out about Michael's life and what exactly led to him being incarcerated for 25 years in Michigan for selling cannabis to an undercover law enforcement agent. And that was, I believe, back in the 90s or the 80s, was it, Michael?
96.
96. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. How challenging has it been for you? You know, we talk a lot. Those who have been incarcerated know what it's like to be in prison. Those who are not, have never been, have no idea. Can you explain the challenges of what it was like for you?
Yes, the challenges was great because you're dealing with so much, and you're dealing with so many different personalities, as well as you're dealing with your mental insanity as well, because of the simple fact as guys commit suicide all the time in prison for less than what I've endured. And just some people are just stronger than others. Prison life is not for nobody to think they're gonna come and eat good. And it ain't no place where you think you're gonna get respect. You know, it's no place where you think someone gonna talk to you every day like a human being, or show you some kind of humanity. It's an ugly place. It's an ugly place, and then you thinking about your kids, and you thinking about your family, and you have deaths. You know, like my only son died. You know, what I'm saying, during the time, and that was my best friend. And so it just it goes on, and then you talk about the healthcare in there is kind of rough, man. You don't get no healthcare. Now, I've been crying for 14 years for something I just had surgery for. I just had hip surgery, a complete hip surgery, and they kept telling me take a Tylenol. That's their favorite word. Take a Tylenol. And I was in pain for 14 years, and then when I get out, Bob Dodge, Eubank, picked up the phone, made one phone call, and to a doctor, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor sent me to get some X-rays, MRI, and all that. Then they quickly sent me to a surgeon because they said I need to have hip replacement right away. And I was just been in that much pain. I thought it was a groin. I pulled a groin. I thought it was my knee, and to kind of find out that hip is no joke. You know, hip make you think you got knee trouble, groin trouble, and everything else. And so I learned a lot about hip replacement, and I got a lot of respect for it. You know, those who have it.
Was it your left hip, Michael, or your right hip?
My left hip. We
are left hip brothers. My left hip is replaced. Okay.
I don't feel bad then. I feel bad. Let somebody else endured that pain that I endured. You know, that's no play toy, man. And
but I was lucky because I was not having to deal with the prison system and the healthcare in there. You know, I had private insurance and I had it taken care of. So I'm very proud of the fact that I've got a titanium hit now, and it's working just fine. And I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure I had it done in 2008. So that's 13 years. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, you're a tough guy.
Yeah, you don't know me that well. That's all right. The nice thing is I can live to tell the story. I do see that we might have another gentleman in our Zoom room, but until I get to see that we have a video feed, I'm just going to continue to talk to Michael here. Michael, one of the things we do want to talk about is the importance of prison reform. As someone who has been in that space and has been now out for a few months. And obviously, I believe pretty sure you had COVID at one point and had to deal with that in prison, which is,
Right.
that's just not fair, to be honest. But what would you like to see implemented? What kind of a program would you like to see implemented for formerly incarcerated people in prison for cannabis crimes? What kind of a workforce development program, what kind of rehab would you like to see, and opportunities for people who come out of jail that have these cannabis offenses and have opportunities to perhaps get into the business? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I like to see everybody play fair. And the way you play fair is to give a person a chance, you know what I'm saying, that you done caged him up for all these years for marijuana that you're making billions of dollars off of now. I think they should get the first shot. Those who did some time for a long time and suffered. But now it's legal, and now they should give them an opportunity to make a decent living by selling something that put them in prison and be successful at it. I just think they need to, just revisit, revisit people like that, because they deserve a good life as well. Especially if they ain't killed no one, they're in there for marijuana. Who marijuana done killed? I mean, what has marijuana done to anybody? And so I'm just saying that's something that I think those individuals should get first shot at it.
Absolutely. And, in Massachusetts, the law that was written in a way to give social equity applicants and those who have been most impacted by the failed war on drugs an opportunity to get into the cannabis business. And they now are starting to award delivery licenses for that. In fact, I believe there's two types of licenses in Massachusetts. One's kind of like an Uber Eats kind of a thing, and the other one is a true buy it from a wholesaler, go out and deliver it, and run your business. So there are now opportunities, but there's so much more than just applying for a license and going into business too. Life skills. How challenging was it for you to go from incarceration to freedom? And I know, and I've seen the video of your family welcoming you back into the free world, as it were. Can you reflect a little bit about that experience for you?
Well, it's like yeah, it's like usually when a person like myself get released, they supposed to go through a reentry, and they supposed to you get your Social Security card and all that kind of stuff. They didn't do me like that. And usually you leave at 8:00 in the morning when you finally get your reentry out the way. And but I left at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And they gave me a duffel bag, and they don't. That's against their policy, letting any duffel bag leave the prison. But I left the prison with a duffel bag. I asked my daughter, "Where you get this from?" She said, "They told me to take it." They were just trying to get me out of there. They didn't care what, They didn't care about their policies or nothing else. They just wanted me out there. They said, "Well, your family out there and a bunch of news meters out there." And I said, I said, okay. But when I first walked out, just like to answer your question, when I first walked out, if you look back at it, see I turned my head to the right and turned my head to the left. And I was, it's just like a man coming from the jungle and into the city, and you're seeing all these cars and people and human beings. And so it just that
The shock.
I asked myself these words. I said, look, I said, am I really truly free? That's what I asked. And because I was lost, man, I didn't know anything. Then I get in a car that the car was talking to the person, telling where to go and to which street to turn, and all that kind of stuff, And so I mean, you tell me, where your mind going? You seeing all this stuff, and then you seeing all these telephones, they showing you tough on doing all this, everything going fast. Everything, they trying to show me they show me so fast that I said, forget it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even want no phone. So it just because a lot of love out there from Last President Project and Sean King and the lawyer that Kim Kardashian got for me. And after the Rolling Stone magazine came out, then this other magazine that this Tana called Interscope. And after all that, and that's when it got the attention of Snoop Dogg and Montel Williams and all them. And so it just said, I got a lot of help and a lot of love, and that lawyer, she stuck with me, Kim Corral. She stuck with me, saying? She saying? She was really there for me. And then nobody was there for me like Diddy Kirkwood. She was like teaching me like I'm a baby, it's just like she was walking me through it, saying? She was helping me. And I was thankful to her husband that her husband let her, spend the time he did, helping me, man, because if it wasn't for her, man, I don't know what, man. It's just the same whole thing. Been a fast ride and a crazy ride at the same time, but it's been a loving ride, and I'm thankful to it.
Well, it's great that there are still people out there who care and are willing to give their time, effort, and skills to help someone who was really unjustly incarcerated. You got something like 60 years or something like that for selling, a small amount a week. Can you tell me how much you were actually doing with this guy, with the undercover cop?
Yeah, well, I didn't know he turned informant. I didn't know him and his wife was trying to save their own ass. So they gave my ass up and set me up, and I was out the business. I was selling marijuana at the time, but because he called me 3 times, and he wanted to get some for a bachelor party, and so I picked his baby up. I never thought he would do something like that, but I picked his baby up, and he managed a muffler shop, and he put me on a guilt trip. He was telling me how much he was doing for his my mother, my brothers, and giving discounts for shocks and mufflers and that. And it made me feel bad, what I'm saying? I said, okay, man, I'll get you 3 pounds of marijuana. And that's what happened, and here I am. And so it's just I was doing good with the Aretha Franklins and Patti LaBelle's and all them big names, entertainers' names, and then I did that big play, My Arms Too Short to Box with God. And I was doing well, man. I didn't need to sell 3 pounds of marijuana, but he put me on a guilt trip, and that's what happened. I really wanted to distance myself away from doing anything at that time that it was illegal.
Wow. Well, I know that there's going to be a documentary. A documentary is about what you've gone through in your life in the production works, and I know now that you've become a little bit of a celebrity, Michael. Are you comfortable with that?
I love that. Hey, you got to understand. You got to understand your question, and then you got to understand my answer. The question is, I'm happy, I'm comfortable with it. Well, how could I not be, coming from where I come from?
Right. It's exactly right. I mean, there's nothing, no one can imagine it unless you've gone through it yourself. There's no doubt. I totally understand that and respect that as well. I'm also thinking you want to give a shout out to the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who was the one who gave you clemency too. I mean, that had to make you feel really special, obviously.
Oh yeah. She was, she did the right thing. And I don't know what made her do the right thing. I don't know if it actually was come from her heart, or was it political? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I'm thinking that all I want to think is that she came from her heart.
Right.
Because just like the Attorney General, everything she did, I know came from her heart. And she fought hard for me. She wrote a letter that I couldn't believe that she written on my behalf. And along with her and Montel Williams. And so I just, and then this lady named Chelsea Hannell. They all really stepped up for me. And I'm thankful to the mayor.
That's nice.
To the governor. And I, if I ever get a chance, you know what I'm saying, I would like to thank her personally. But if I don't, I want her to know that I'm thankful.
Kind of gives you faith in humanity when I hear stories about people like that in positions of power looking to help and right injustice in our world. It is one of the things that I so happy to be part of this industry and hearing stories like this. And I don't know if you heard, but the Last Prisoner Project had a good day today. They got a few more formerly incarcerated people out of jail in Kansas, the state of Kansas. What that organization is doing in the few years that they have been in existence is remarkable. I have incredible respect for Steve D'Angelo and also his brother Andrew. Both guys I've gotten an opportunity to meet and interview as well. What's the most fun thing that you've done since you've been out?
Oh, the most fun thing I've done since I've been out was, doing whatever the hell I want to. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes it so fun. And just doing whatever you want to do, and you don't have to answer to nobody. And as long as you're doing it right, as long as it ain't against the law. And that's what makes it so fun and beautiful, because I can get up and eat what I want to eat when I want to eat, and then I'm sleeping in a real bed. Oh man, I'm doing a real bed. I didn't think even they make them kind of beds. The bed's so high, you gotta get up on them. And I said, man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And just living in a home, man, because a home means so much to me, mainly because I was born in a house, because I couldn't be born in no hospital because I was born in Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi, and you couldn't be born in a house. You had to be born by a midwife. And nobody born at that time was born in a hospital. They said they was, they telling a damn lie. Because you weren't born in a hospital during that time in Mississippi, So a house means a lot to me. And when Sean King did the fundraiser, and Chelsea Satula, and all of them, and the lady that wrote Rolling Stones, Tana, when they all teamed up and they all got me this house and through the GoFundMe, and got me a nice car, vehicle, and everything. So God is good, and I've been truly blessed, and I don't hold no animosity towards no one. I forgive everyone.
That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. Are you doing speaking engagements now? Are they filling up your schedule on a regular basis so you could tell your story? Is that what's taking up most of your time during the day?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of prison reform, and I've been given a platform. Every time I get a platform, I speak about prison reform. And so it's been a lot of people listening, and they want to hear the truth about inside prison life. And I'm telling the story, and I'm telling them the truth. So if they want to correct something, they can correct it through my eyes, my ears. But if they want to keep ignoring it, they can just deal with the blood on the streets, because somebody's doing something wrong, because there's too much killing out there, man. Way too much, far too much killing.
And especially even now, I was watching the news, and The amount of violence that we have in our world today, you know, the fact that everybody had to come through this pandemic after a year and a half, and now everybody's catching up. You know what I'm saying? They're out there doing crazy things instead of thinking about the fact that they're alive and
Yeah.
free. Right? Those are two things I think you will never take for granted anymore. Correct?
No, never, never. And why would I want to kill somebody who ain't never did nothing to me?
No,
And
violence is never an answer,
no,
right?
no, that's right. And why you resort to that? That'd be the first thing you resort to, you know, to kill somebody. Just like a car rage and stuff. You know, you get mad at a person because he cut in front of you. You need to go pull your gun out and shoot him. I mean, you know, that's kind of sick. And but it's going on and it's going to get worse because it seems like the only thing the politicians care about is getting reelected. And it seems like just like the guys in prison say, the politicians don't care about us because our vote don't count. And he said the taxpayers don't care about us because, you know, so we're a burden on the taxpayers. And so who give a damn about us, man? Who give a damn about us? And then when they get released, then they say, man, the hell with all y'all. The hell with you and everybody that live with you. And I'm gonna kill everything moving. And that's the attitude they get. It's all about me now. It's been all about you guys. Now it's all about me. And that's what they're learning from the politicians. That's what they're learning from people that turn their backs on them, turn their head to them. They're not listening to them. And see, if they keep on doing that, it's gonna get worse. Them streets is gonna get worse. And they know that because it's one thing about, well, anyway, I ain't gonna jump the gun. I'll wait till you get finished, then I'll get into that.
Well, I'd love for you to keep going about prison reform because I think this country's had it backwards for years. Instead of punishing people, we need to either rehabilitate them or work with them so that they can turn their lives around. I always believe in forgiveness and second chances with everything anyway. And, you know, it's funny you mentioned that while you're in prison, you don't feel like anybody cares about you. And yet, right 5 minutes before that, you listed about 12 people who did care about you and got you out. And so I'm guessing that when you are behind bars, you have to cling to hope that there are people, good people, that are looking after people who have been unjustly punished. You agree?
Yeah, and let me cut loose now. Since
Go ahead.
since you got back into the prison reform again,
Yep.
you know, yeah, that's the attitude they get, and you got to realize that them guys in prison is suffering, and they getting fed like a dog. They getting fed like a dog, and I ain't talking about no special pets. This is a dog they don't give a damn about, and the healthcare is horrible, horrible. And just like I spoke about it earlier, you know, it's horrible. And everything they do there, they treat you less than a man. They take your manhood from you, talk to you like you're a punk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just straight up, just like you got a mini skirt on. And it's just sad, man. You know what I'm saying? How many times I had to bite down on another man talking to me like I had a mini skirt on. And it's just sad, you know, and they need to train them officers, you know, to treat a human being like a human being. Them officers don't have no fear of the consequences of their actions because they got grievance process. They say, well, would you file a grievance? File a grievance. That grievance is a joke. You know, that man, they'll give you ask them for a grievance, they'll give you 5 of them. And then tell you, make sure you spell my name right. You know, just stuff like that. So if you know the grievance process don't work, Well, where do a prisoner have to turn? Who can he turn to for help? Who can he turn to for fairness? And somebody that going, you know what I'm saying, that be a meter between them and the police. And see, there's so many guys getting set up with the same knife and all that kind of stuff. And again, getting set up, police is setting them up because they don't like them. You know, just like right before I came out, you know, and you know, the washing machine broke and they wouldn't fix the washing machine. And this is 4 months before I got released. And they wouldn't fix the washing machine. And so I went back to when I was behind the walls of Jackson. And I started washing my clothes in the toilet stool. And because I can flush, rinse, flush, wash, flush. And it might sound kind of strange to you, many other people, you know, but my clothes was clean as far as I was concerned. And as long as I had clean clothes, that's all I was concerned about. But they didn't give a damn. They didn't care if you wore the same clothes. They didn't care nothing. Even though, you know, if a germ break out, that would be a bad thing inside the prison. They should be put that as a security issue because you don't want no breakout inside no prison. But the police don't care. All they care about is the paycheck. And see, so I say all that to say this to you.
I get you.
When I was leaving, people was talking to me and they was telling me things like, it's in my head, you know, it's in my head and it's gonna be in my head for a while. And the first thing they already said is a Miko, and whatever they called me in prison. Miko, tell the truth. And he said, they always say the same thing, just tell the truth, man. Don't be scared and don't be bought and paid for. Tell the truth. And that's what I'm doing. I'm telling the truth. And for those who listening to me, I'm just letting you know that your country, your prison in America is one step away from being a third world prison, third world country. And those guys is getting out, don't even recognize you anymore. And you, that little boy next door, is not the little boy next door no more. He might be the one that kill you, come and strangle you to death, and you probably helped raise him. But after leaving that prison, he's not the little boy next door no more. Because you never know what happened to him. You don't know how much violations that he had to go through. And then he tried to crowd and nobody heard him. And don't nobody care. So I'm just saying that it's a lot of hatred that sometimes a person leave out of prison, they bring home with them. And it's one thing about a shark. When a shark get hungry, a shark going to eat. And if you leave a man with nothing and put him out there with nothing, you're going to find a way to eat. At the same time, you find a way to eat, somebody could lose their life.
Well, I got to tell you, Michael Thompson, you have a big fan now in the Massachusetts area, and I'm hoping that people who watch or listen to this interview will come away thinking about the world that you have described, the world that you have come out of, and the world that you're now into. And you know, I always look at good in all people. I find something good about all people, and I try to build my relationship around that. And I'm so happy to hear that you had people that believed you, helped you, and still got you out. And I think that is what I leave this interview with, is that there is still faith. There is still hope that there are good people out there, that there are people that want to help people that have been incarcerated for cannabis offenses. And there's another story I know about another person who lost his life because he got beat up in jail. And after he got out and was in the care of his family, he ended up dying within a year or so. So it is I just don't think we need to treat fellow human beings like they do in prison. I really believe that there is a way to give education and vocational skills and opportunities to the people in prison so that they can rehab themselves, give themselves some hope, and get them out and taste freedom similarly to what you've been going through now over the last few months. And
Well, what you say, you speaking logic, you speaking like a reasonable man, like a man of wisdom. But they didn't did studies. They didn't did studies about this, about the prison system. They spent millions of dollars.
Yep.
Did this study, and they know what the problem is. They know what the problem is already, because when you do studies, usually you got a solution. But what they do a study, and everybody go with their little money, the millions of dollars, and then the whole subject disappeared.
Right.
And see, so they didn't already found out about the habitual offender, felony murder, good time. They already know what it is about it. Marijuana, there shouldn't be no people in marijuana no more. Just use your common sense. Who had marijuana killed? You know what I'm saying? I mean, why are you keep dealing with this marijuana thing? Why you keep on wasting your jails for this marijuana? You know what I'm saying? So now here you go with the rope for people of color. You go with this rope here. You go with the habitual offender. You charge him with a habitual offender, and then you bury him. Then here you is, you felony murder. Here you is, you got guys in there with felony murder, been in there 40, 50 years. 40, 50 years. I know them. And you still let him rot in there, and this man ain't killed nobody. But because he was there during the time somebody got killed, and even though he didn't have no gun, he didn't have no intentions going there to kill nobody. He didn't have no intention, but he been in prison now 45, 50 years. I can name them: Philip Hunt, Horace Peterson, all of them. Then the guy named Michael Cannon been in prison for 36 years for a fist fight. And all these guys, now the only thing you got to do is just get them the senator, get them their good time back. Let them work their way, so they can get out.
It's how they do it in Europe,
Get rid of that habitual offender. It shouldn't be in there. The only thing they do is put it on people of color. Felony murder, revisit that. Revisit that, because there's a lot of people that deserve to be in prison, but there's a lot of people that don't.
Right.
And I'm just saying that, see, when you keep a person locked up like that, okay, that's during a time, and I ain't saying they was angels in the early thing. I'm just saying they weren't no killers. I'm saying that they wasn't nobody like that because now they come in prison, they had to survive. So when they first got in there at a young age, and they got tickets and all misconduct and all that stuff. But now most of these guys I'm talking about have been down for a long time. They call them OGs in prison. That's what the young kids call them. OGs, they look up to them guys. You put them back in their communities, and then you got them being grandfathers and fathers and uncles to them guys on the street in the same neighborhood. And see, so that's what they look up to. And then you got the single mothers out there raising their kids by herself. And what do they expect when the mother got to work sometimes 2 jobs? And then you got the kids turning to the streets for love. Right. Then eventually penitentiary will become their mother and their father.
That's wrong. I'm sorry. We have to do something. I hope people continue to hear your story so that we can continue to make whatever changes we can, because there's so many things going wrong right now in our world. I think the more we talk about them, and you know, race is right in the middle of this. Race is an issue with cannabis. We know that they filled the prisons because they could target Black people because they figured, hey, he must have weed on him. Let's go hassle him for the broken taillight that they have, or they didn't signal when they took a right turn, or whatever it was that the law enforcement officer decided to pull the Black person over for some kind of a traffic violation, and the next thing you know, your life's over. And that's not right for this kind of a wrong. And there was it, and you know, I remember Richard Nixon. Okay, I was not a fan in the 60s, let's just say, and the 70s of his politics, and the fact that here we are 50 years later still dealing with this. I'm stupefied. I really am. And I just hope that, again, your story, we can share it with others. I wish you, sir, a beautiful life. You deserve a beautiful life over the next however long God wants to keep you on this earth. I'm hoping that you cherish every day. I kind of go through life that way too. I get a lot of abuse for the way I look at the world, but I don't really care anymore because I know how fortunate I am. You know, when I hear stories like this, I feel so guilty for what my race has done to others in this country. It really bothers me. And I know I piss people off when I say that, but guess what? I don't care anymore. Okay. Because I think we need to tell these stories. I think we need to show examples of look, we get it. Violent crime, you should be punished for violent crime. But cannabis is a plant. Okay. And they made it illegal because it was based on race. That's exactly why they did it. That's why Dickie Nixon did it with his Controlled Substances Act in 1973. And here we are 50 years later, and we're still trying to rid those wrongs, and they have to be done. It's why the Last Prisoner Project exists. It's why, you know, we always talk about what the work that they do. And you, sir, are a prime example of what can happen, and give an opportunity to someone like yourself to have that second chance. And, you know, I wish you the best in the future, Michael Thompson. You deserve it.
They need more people like you in the world.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've always just had a big mouth, and I just like to share that with others. You know, I'm not afraid to speak up, and I don't really care, you know, the trouble it gets me into anymore at this point. But one last thing. We have to give credit to the guy who put us together. All right. I mean, I give Rick Thompson a hard time a little bit from Michigan, and the host of the Jazz Cabbage Cafe, but he has been awesome with us. We're so happy to have his show, and he's the one who brought us together. So a Thompson relative, if you will, brought us together, Michael. And I want to give a shout out to him. What's he really like? Come on. What's he really like?
Rick Thompson been at every function I didn't hear since I've been out of prison. He didn't even come to the dinner that was at my home. Right. And we had some good cooks cook for us, and we had a good time at our home, and we shared some wisdom with each other and some other people that was there as well. Rick Thompson is serious about what he's doing.
Yep.
And he's on a mission, just like I'm on a mission right now.
Cool.
And whatever I can do to help him, and I know whatever he can do to help me, he will.
Well, I all you have to do is Google your name, and a lot of good stuff comes up. And make sure you're not reading the obituary of Michael Thompson, because you are very much alive. Are you not, sir? I mean, I remember searching for you and saying, wait, you know, there was a Michael Thompson who passed. By the way, there's a lot of Jimmy Youngs in the world too. It's a pretty common name, you know, so we have to deal with those things, right? Yeah. Hey, if people want to help you out, how do they find you, and where should they go? I know the internet and Google is the best way to do it. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And I got PO boxes on it, my Instagram as well. But the same token, I just want people to see. A lot of people don't understand the life within prison life. I'm telling you, you don't have to go I don't already went. So I'm telling you everything you need to know about prison life. But I'm telling you what's wrong with it. Now, either you want to fix it or you want to keep it broken. If you want to keep it broken, then quit crying about what's happening in the streets, then. Because them is still human beings. They're still coming back out in society. So either you're going to correct this problem or you're going to keep it broken.
Wow. Let's try to correct it. All right. Let's try to correct it as quickly as we can, even if we have to do it one person at a time. And that does seem to be where we're at this point. But hopefully those that make our laws, our elected officials in Washington, will get to hear your story and share that with others that are sitting in those elected positions and not doing what the people that put them in their positions want them to do. Can't believe cannabis is in the middle of all this, but we have to take advantage of the momentum to keep it going in the right direction, because there's always a right direction and a wrong direction, right? And when you're free, you go in the right direction. And Michael Thompson, I wish you the best in the future. Thank you so much for joining us here on Friday afternoon on our Green Rush Live show. You've given an education to me and to the others who watch and listen, and thank you, sir.
Thank you and all your listeners.
All right. That's Michael Thompson. We're going to take a quick break and then come back on the other side, and I'm going to wrap things up. Don't go away.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.